Welcome to the Real Estate Investors Marketing Show, where we help real estate investors gain more leads, stronger relationships, and more deals through the power of online marketing. So I'm Lindsay Phillips, your content coach and expert on all things content marketing for entrepreneurs and real estate investors. And I am blessed to be here with my awesome co-host.
Blessed. That's awesome. Wow, that was an introduction. I'm Aaron Hughes, a real estate investor and the world's only exclusive real estate investing copywriter, and blessed to be here with Lindsay.
Woo woo! We make a good team.
It's all right, I guess.
Nice. You're demoted. It's all fun and games. So, of course, Aaron, we have seen podcasting just explode over the past number of years, and especially now, when a lot of people aren't necessarily speaking on stages as much, of course, in this climate, but a lot of us want to get booked on podcasts and build our expert status and our authority. And so many people just don't know where to start.
Yeah, that's, you know what? I am terrible at podcasts. It's something I always think I should do. And I was actually around when the first wave of podcasts was super popular back in the day. What was that, like 2007, 2008-ish, 2006-ish? And man, we had the same conversations then, and I thought, I should start a podcast. And I never did, and here I am now in 2020, and I'm finally
I roped you in.
Now. Yeah, you did. You tricked me. You tricked me into it. You applied me with more beer at Chili's.
Nice.
So yeah, podcasts are so good, and they're so popular right now, even more than ever. So let's help people get booked on podcasts as guest experts.
Awesome. So there are a bunch of things that you need to do before you say, hey, can I be on your show? And there are some do's and don'ts, and I'm sure you've seen a bunch out there. Now, the one crucial thing that you need to do is have a one sheet. Do you have a one sheet, Aaron?
No, let's say no, I don't. I do kind of, but it's so out of date that I have to, it's barely worth the paper it's on right now. So no, do you have one?
I do. I actually just revamped mine a month ago. So, yay me. But I mean, there's so many different styles of a one sheet, and just to kind of give the Coles Notes version. So basically it's like an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, so to speak, in PDF form.
Literally one sheet, as the name suggests.
I know. So obvious. And it shares your bio and what's so great about you and your credibility. So like for me, if you're on MSN and all that stuff, then definitely have it on there. If you're an author, make sure that you have that on there. And you want to make sure that you put your topics of what your talks or your interview topics would be. And I definitely recommend having even the questions of what you want a podcast host to ask you, because they want to envision what that episode is going to be like. Like, are you really going to help out my peeps? What are you even going to talk about? If I have to work and figure out all these questions on my own, I'm just not going to do it.
That's really good. And you're totally right, Lindsay. And I have found in the few times that I have used my one sheet to be a podcast guest is that people literally just read from it. Like they will, like you give them the questions, they're going to ask you those questions. You give them your bio, they will literally read the bio that you give them. So it's good in some ways. Like sometimes you're like, you could get a little more creative, but on the other hand, I feel like I'm controlling the conversation, which is exactly what I want to do.
And really from a host perspective, because I'm obviously a host as well, and I've done plenty of interviews in my day, it's like when I get a pitch or when I get a one sheet, I don't want to have to rack my brain and go to their website and scour it and figure out like what the heck am I going to ask? What is the topic going to be? How am I going to relate it to my audience? You want to make it as easy as possible. And sometimes I just use it as a jumping point, and then I do check out their website and I make my own questions. But oh man, it's such a time saver.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, you've motivated me to recreate my one sheet.
I love to tease you. And the other prep work that you need to do is think about what your pitch email is going to be. Now, you can send out those pitch emails yourself or have someone on your team, or you can even book a guest expert service. So there are people that will get you booked. But I guarantee you they'll tell you to have a one sheet and they will create the pitch email. But do you have any like bad experiences of pitch emails that you've gotten that you're like, oh, sweet Jesus?
Not for podcasts, but I get pitched
Yeah.
almost every day on blog posts and articles
Yes.
and whatever. Yeah.
It's crazy. And I find ones that are like crazy long and they don't give me a one sheet and they don't give me a website or they don't give me a press page to go to. I'm like, forget it.
So what would you consider to be, as a podcaster, what do you consider to be the ideal pitch email that you would like to receive?
Signs that they've actually looked at my podcast, because I've been pitched on topics where I'm like, that doesn't even relate to my podcast. Do you know what I mean? It's like you haven't even made the attempt to even understand what my audience or my show message is. Those that are short and concise and that give me like, hey, I think your audience would love to hear about this. And we could provide value to your audience by sharing, how to do blah, blah, blah. If I get that, I'm like, ooh, yes, I would like to know that. They would like to know that. And then there's a link to a one sheet and their website, and if there is a press page bonus. But if that information is there and it's clear and succinct, then I'm like, I'm in.
And you reminded me of a question that I sometimes get asked as the guest on podcast, and that is if I have any sort of like joint venture type of product or program that the podcaster can get involved in. And I haven't often. Sometimes I have, but I haven't usually. Now, is that something that would be important to you as a podcaster or to anyone?
That's a good point. That usually doesn't get mentioned until you're sort of in the green room. Because you kind of get, feel the person out, what their approach is. I mean, I always want the guest to have a lead magnet that they want to share because I want them to grow their e-list. And I also want to share a resource to my audience. And then sometimes they will say, I also have, these paid products and I do have an affiliate program. If you are interested, I'm happy to set one up for you and share it so you can put it in the show notes. Then I'm like, if it's a fit, then I go for it. If it's a product that kind of, it just fits the episode and what my audience would like, then for sure. But I find asking that up front in like a pitch or whatever, it feels like it's too much.
That makes sense. Okay, good advice. Thank you.
Yeah, you betcha. Now, so you've got your one sheet. You've written up a good pitch email. Make sure that you follow up. Make sure that you connect with them on social because that piece gets forgotten a lot, actually. And then if you do get booked, share that you are going to be on the show on social beforehand. Like, woohoo, I'm going to be interviewed by Aaron and Lindsay on the REI Marketing Show next week. I'm super excited to share blah, blah, blah. Because the host will definitely appreciate that. And make sure that you are open to sharing the episode after it goes live. You'd be surprised how many people don't share. Isn't that insane?
It is insane. And I do try to share everything, but in my own defense, something that really does bother me, and maybe it shouldn't, and it's not really for this podcast anyway, but since I'm in a mood, I'm going to complain about it, is that I'll interview something in September. I'll interview on a podcast in September. I won't hear anything about it, and I'll be like, oh, I guess that podcast never went to air, which sometimes happens.
Yes.
And then I'll get an email in May. Congratulations, your podcast is now live. I was like, it was like, I
know.
Like, that was 8 months ago. I've moved on since then. I don't even, anyway.
That drives me nuts too.
So if I should still share it, but it does bug me a little bit.
But that is bad communication on the host part. Like as a host, I always tell the guest, hey, it's going to go live, in 3 weeks, in 2 months, I'm working ahead. Does that still work with your call to action? Yeah, communication is key, my friends.
And that would be good.
Yeah.
I can say I don't know how many times I've been a podcast guest. Let's say, however many times, I think I have been communicated about the publishing timeline, like maybe 10% of the time.
Yeah,
usually it's
so
like,
true.
It's nothing. It's like, surprise!
I know!
Here it is, 4 years later or something.
It is bizarre. I know. we should have another episode of like podcast host etiquette.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I want to mention, so I mentioned the one sheet, your prep work, pitching the email, make sure that you connect on social with them. But the other thing too is, and I have this because I find it really useful, is to have a quote unquote press page. So basically it's a web page that has your image on it, your bio, but it also has your topics and interview questions on there. And then you link to your headshot, you link to the one sheet, different headshots, and other things, because then as a guest, when you do get booked, it's so much easier just to share a link than all these itsy bitsy little pieces. And then if people find your press page on your site, they're like, ooh, look, they're on podcasts all the time. And on it, share, some of the great shows that you've been on to boost your credibility.
That's a great tip, Lindsay, because I think if someone were to go land on your press page and see that you have links to like an image and a bio in your one sheet and other things you've been on, like it would make them want more to have you as a guest because it's so easy, right? Like people don't want to take on more work. Two guest experts, one that's totally unprepared and the other one that has all this stuff that's downloadable on one page. Like who wouldn't want that second person to be their guest?
I know, and it makes you look good. It makes it look like you got it going on. You're always on shows and interviews and summits, and it just like you got your stuff together.
Yeah, nice. That's a great tip. I like it.
Awesome. And stay in communication with the guest hosts and people that you pitch. DM them, comment on their posts, like what they're doing, ask them questions. It's a relationship building opportunity as well, right? Besides building your credibility and authority.
Yeah, that's true. I think that could be a topic for another day, but I can think of the podcasts that I have been on have turned into great clients for me. A lot of them. Yeah. Absolutely.
Same here. And so, great, like friends. There's people that nice. Some of them have been clients or joint venture or, be a connector, make connections and build relationships for sure.
I like that. That takes it out of being transactional.
Yes.
Going on a podcast for the hope that you get something out of it.
Yes.
Just going on there because you can add value and you can build a connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. All right. Do you have any other great tips to add? That's
it for that topic. I think it's a wrap.
I think that's really good. So I will close us out of here. That's a wrap for the Real Estate Investors Marketing Show for today. Thanks so much for listening and congratulations on taking steps to market your investing business. Whether you're involved in all the different kinds of real estate investing, wholesaling, flipping, note investing, rentals, commercial, syndication, coaching, we get what you do. And what marketing strategies will help you reach your goals? Did I do that again?
Sorry, folks. It was an inside joke.
Never mind. All right, so be sure.
We get hung up on this one sentence. Maybe we just need to change that sentence.
I don't know what this page break for some reason.
It's all good.
Anyway, be sure to join the Real Estate Investors Marketing Group on Facebook, where we'll share strategies and tools, tips, and resources and tricks to grow your authority, build more relationships, and market your real estate investing business. And that is found at reimarketinggroup.com.
Oh, yeah, baby. Join us in the group.
Yeah, see you there.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll see you later, Aaron, on another episode.
You will. See you later, Lindsay.